Quiet on the set!
Lance, this is going to be great. Thanks so much for coming.
It's my pleasure.
Is there anything that you need, because we're going to get rolling in a second, anything you want or need? Okay, great. Let's get started.
Sounds good.
Yes, thank you. And thank you. Welcome to On the Verge, brought to you by Samsung. I'm your host, Josh Topolsky, and you're a dude named Ralph, which I'm personally excited about. We have an incredible show, an amazing show tonight, maybe our best ever. Director Paul Feig is here in the studio with us in a little bit to talk about film and so much more. I sat down with Lance Reddick from The Wire and Fringe and most recently White House Down, and we're going to discuss all sorts of exciting things. And there's a heat wave in New York right now, and it's very uncomfortable. So clearly a lot to talk about. Let's get to the news. Get excited, get very excited. The official trailer for the film Jobs has finally been released. If you don't know what the movie is, I don't know why you're even watching this. It's Ashton Kutcher in the role of Steve Jobs, covering the birth of Apple up until the release of the original iPod. So none of the iPhone stuff, but no big deal. From what I can tell, it's going to be an incredible film, and it's going to feature a rebellious, barefoot, and frankly sexy Steve Jobs, who has the voice of Kelso. Here, take a look.
These are state of the art. Nobody's making anything like this.
All right, okay.
Welcome to Apple Computer.
Is this everything?
Startup.
I think we should start with around 90 grand.
Could you repeat that?
If you'll have me aboard.
Trust me.
Boom, right there. That's when it all happens. I have to say, it does really look good, and I do want to see it, but I can't help but feel I've seen this somewhere before.
You don't just live in life, you change it, you shape it, you make your mark upon it.
Steve Jobs?
Job. Welcome to Apple Computers.
What on earth would ordinary people want with computers?
What kind of venture money are we talking about, Mike?
Well, I figure we start with about $250,000 and see what happens.
Excuse me? The first time in my life, people are coming to me instead of me going to them. We have to think of ourselves as artists. It's like Picasso said, good artists copy, great artists steal. I ask you for brilliance. I've asked you for genius, and you're giving me this?
You guys are not being paid to be a bunch of clowns! You guys are supposed to be writing programs.
Ladies and gentlemen, a toast to a remarkable man, Steve Jobs, truly a guiding light, a man who sees the future.
If only there was a way I could see that right now, but I'll just have to wait. Okay, on a more serious note, on a very newsy, important note, I need to talk to you about one of my favorite movies of all time, 1985's Lifeforce, which has just been released in a special limited edition Blu-ray that is jam-packed full of extra features, interviews with the cast and crew. There's a director's cut. It's thrilling. If you don't know anything about Lifeforce and you're thinking, should I go buy or rent this movie and watch it over and over and over again, let me try to help you make the decision. The film is written by Alien scribe Dan O'Bannon, who's a very sick man, and directed by Tobe Hooper. That's the Tobe Hooper who directed the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a very sick movie. But Lifeforce is really, truly incredible on its own. It's a rollicking thriller slash horror slash adventure slash romance that will leave you totally breathless. And if you're not convinced, let me list just a few of the things that you'll see in the movie after you hit play on your remote control. Space vampires, space bats, zombies, a 150-mile-long phallic alien ship, a post-apocalyptic London, Patrick Stewart in his first on-screen kiss with a man. And, most importantly, I think, extended scenes featuring full frontal nudity of a beautiful woman. Now look, I'm not saying that you have to watch the movie, but if you don't, I will hunt you down using the body of a nude woman and then suck your life force out through your mouth. All right, enough about me. I had a chance to sit down with Lance Reddick, as I told you, from The Wire and Fringe, and most recently, a major Hollywood White House explosion movie called White House Down. And here's a clip from that and my conversation with Lance.
Sir, we're at DEFCON 1. The nuclear football in the White House just went live.
That's impossible.
It's happening, and someone has just entered valid launch codes.
Captain, on deck!
What the hell is going on?
Sir, we have nuclear missiles spinning up on the Albuquerque.
If our allies see us launching a full-scale nuclear strike, they will respond. Russia will launch, China will launch. We'll have World War III in the next 10 minutes unless you level the White House.
4 minutes to target, sir.
Sir, I need a final go, no-go for payload delivery.
Lance, thanks so much for being here.
It's my pleasure.
Really appreciate it. We turned up the heat in the building for you.
I can tell.
Yeah, it's very warm, and I apologize.
The good thing is that when black people get sheen, it looks good. So, you know, just keep it up.
I wish I were black. I mean, I'm just going to sweat and look like crap.
Well,
and you're going to look amazing.
But see, that's
unfair.
See, that's how, you know, God works in mysterious ways, because white people look good dry. So it's just.
I do look amazing dry. Yeah. That is a well-known fact. What are we talking about? I like this interview already. This is good. So I want to talk a little bit about your earlier career. Mm-hmm. I know you've got new stuff that we're going to talk about, but maybe you hate bringing this up. Maybe you don't want me to talk about this, but I want to talk about The Wire a little bit.
Okay.
There's a very rabid fan base for The Wire. A lot of people say it's the greatest show, greatest drama ever put on television. So that must be cool to be part of that. But that character, your character in the show, is a character that seems to be, people seem to like you in this character, which is sort of kind of an asshole, like a little bit of an asshole, but just get shit done.
It's funny because I think Broyles is much more of an ass than at least for a season of Fringe.
And that's
in
a similar vein.
Paul Giamatti and I were buddies from drama school, and we were shooting the first season of Fringe. He and I were having lunch, and he was talking about it. The first season of Fringe was the very end, when the last season of The Wire aired, and that's when it really kind of blew up.
Right.
And we were shooting in New York, and it was the first time in my career that I just couldn't get down the street without being stopped. And I was talking to Paul about it, and he said, man, it's something about TV, too, because because Paul's a movie star. But he said it wasn't until I did John Adams that I started getting that. And it's something about coming into people's living rooms, you know, on a consistent basis. And it's not just that they see you often, but they see you as that person. I mean, I remember we were shooting the first season of Fringe, and the makeup artist, the head makeup person told me the story. She said that a couple of cops who were doing security, we were shooting in New York, and they were doing security. And they came to her and they said, man, that guy's a badass. And she looked around. She said, Lance? And
well, that's the character.
Yeah.
The character is. I mean, you have a history of playing badasses. Do you not think of yourself as a badass?
You mean in real life?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you get cast as a badass.
You ask my kids, they'll say no.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because like I always think, you know, when you see somebody who's played, you know, it's a kind of a gruff character.
Yeah.
I mean, I said an asshole, but which is kind of insulting. I now realize, but it is a character who's kind of like, you could see how. That's the character who kind of gets, in some ways, can get under people's skin on the show in a way that is very forceful, and it's a very specific role. You know, it's kind of gruff, but then ends up being a really good guy. And I feel like that must be something that people see in you naturally, because you're so often in such a similar kind of role.
Well, but once again, the funny thing about it is, it wasn't until The Wire.
Yeah.
I mean, you. Remember, I auditioned for 3 different roles for The Wire, and that was the last. They didn't want to see me for Daniels at first.
Really?
I auditioned for Bunk 3 times.
That's so insane, because to imagine it as anybody else seems impossible.
Yeah, I auditioned for Bunk 3 times, and the 3rd time I went in, they wanted to see me for Bubbles.
Really?
Yeah, because in my 3rd audition, David Simon was there, and he had cast me as Marvin in The Corner, who's a crackhead. Okay. So he knew me as a crackhead. And I just played
a great crackhead.
And in Oz, you know, I played an undercover cop, but a guy who gets addicted to heroin.
Right. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
By the way. Spoiler alert, in case you're watching Oz.
Oh well.
You know what? That shows it's been several. It's like a decade. I think there's got to be a statute of limitations.
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
That's interesting. So it's crazy though because you so perfectly embody that character. I mean, I think it's such a
playing Broyles after that that's when it was like, okay, I may be in danger of becoming typecast.
Yeah, I don't think it's typecasting though. I mean, I think that it's a role that's hard to play. I mean, in my opinion, it's kind of because you kind of have to like. It's almost like in some ways you think the guy's kind of a jerk, but then you sort of love him, and I think that's a fine line to walk. In my limited.
I did feel that I had to really get into the guy's head because it wasn't just a matter of saying the lines, and acting feelings.
So obviously The Wire is a big deal for you, but then Fringe comes along. Was sci-fi something that you have an interest in naturally, or did you have to come around to the concept of doing something that was, because it really is, there is a pretty big difference in the tone between like something like The Wire where like it's like really gritty, really real, and Fringe is obviously deals with,
it's almost straightforward action adventure fantasy.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. Was that something? Was sci-fi something that you loved to start with, or did you have to come around to it?
I mean, I will say I'm a huge Star Wars and Star Trek fan.
Yeah.
Particularly, I have all 7 seasons of Star Trek Voyager.
Yeah. Voyager, interesting.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
And Captain Kirk. William Shatner's portrayal of Captain Kirk was one of my. Growing up, I just always wanted to be him.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I
talk about like over-emoting. That's like one of those. Shatner throws himself into the emotion.
Well, I mean, I'm
dissing Shatner now. This is blowing my chances of a Shatner.
Well, it's interesting because I feel that if you watch his work in the first season, there's really a lot of subtlety and nuance. I mean, he's mesmerizing to watch.
Right.
And I just think that, quite frankly, as iconic as that original series has become, once you got into the second and third seasons, it really a lot of the writing became more and more ridiculous.
Yeah, I think so. His character kind of played to that. Yeah.
And when you're kind of being the guy mostly who carries the show, and do you know what I mean?
Right.
I just think he kind of fell into some habits.
And he became more like Kirk, right?
Didn't he? It almost became like a parody of himself.
Right.
But
right.
yeah, but
I guess that's true.
At the beginning, I just feel like he was really, do you know what I mean? I believe
I think there is more subtlety in general in the first season of that show.
Yeah.
And it's weird to see how it did become. Well, I mean, look, once you establish the character and the place, then it's sort of easy to play inside of that. But it also gives you more rigidity to what you can do.
Yeah, and also it's the kind of thing where. And once again, I don't want to spend too much time trying to defend William Shatner's performance in Star Trek.
You really are a Shatner defender.
Well, no, it's. I'm just thinking about the difference in, say, The Wire, for example. I remember I can't say what show it was, but I went. I had a meeting at the end of the last season of The Wire. I started going on auditions for new pilots, and I wanted this pilot audition, and one of the creators of the show was a big fan of my work, and he had been a showrunner on an HBO show, and now this was a network series. And he said, the difference between a show on HBO and a show on network is on HBO they hire you to do your show, on a network they hire you to do their show.
Right.
And I know, from the things that I've read about the original Star Trek, it was. As groundbreaking as it was a constant fight to keep it just from being a Western in outer space.
Right. So, you've got a new thing, very new project that everybody's very excited about. White House Down.
It's funny. It's like, oh yeah, White House Down.
Yeah, White House. I was going to say, because there is this other thing to talk about. White House Down. Explain White House Down to me. Tell me what this movie's about. I mean, I think I know what it's about, but I want to hear from you.
Well, it's basically about terrorists attacking and it's successfully taking over the White House.
So just so crazy to hear it out loud.
Yeah.
Terrorists taking over the White House.
Yeah.
And
it's about kind of the Channing Tatum is the hero, and you can say two heroes, and Jamie Foxx plays the president,
right.
And it almost
an awesome president.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
the baddest ass president ever. And your character is
I play the vice chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Okay, so you're a military dude.
Yes,
and
I'm basically the guy in the military who's in charge of the military
right.
in this movie.
You've got the whole.
For some reason, it's given, but it's a little shaky. But for some reason, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff is not around, so I'm the guy. I'm the guy.
So how it falls to you.
Yeah,
he's like on vacation.
Something like that.
Listen, I know you got to go. Thank you so much for doing this.
been
Really
my pleasure.
appreciate it. Yes, Lance is an awesome dude and also really, really good at staring. Next up, we've got a clip from the movie The Heat, which is the new film directed by Paul Feig. And when we come back from that clip, Paul will be here in the studio talking to us. So stick around.
Sit down.
Sometimes you don't listen, so Enough.
Hands off me.
That's one of the better Jesus sports-themed paintings I've seen. It's very good. Nice.
Are you a knock?
I'm sorry?
Are you a knock?
A knock. Sorry, I don't know what that is.
A knock. A knock. Am I speaking Japanese?
Yeah, listen to him.
I'm gonna sound it out for you. Are you, or are you not a knock? Like Johnny Depp in 21 Jump Street.
Ah, I see. Okay, a narc.
A knock, yes.
Yes. No,
what was I saying?
I was missing the R when you were saying, I heard knock.
What are you? What are you doing here? What are you doing?
I'm a federal agent. I'm a special agent.
Are you a boy or a girl?
It's a fair question. I'm female.
No kidding.
All woman.
From the get-go? No operation?
From birth, yes.
How you get that close to shave on your face?
I need to go, but I'll be back to.
Nice knowing you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and very good, very upsetting. And now joining me in the studio, the lovely, the delightful, or so I'm told, Paul Feig. Paul, hello. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. I'm good.
Good. Do you have a pen I can borrow?
You know what? It's actually, I had a pen.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Moments ago.
I know.
And now it's gone forever.
There
I like
you go.
that. I like that you go in on the attack
Yes,
to throw
exactly.
me off.
See, exactly.
That's a technique. That's
yes,
a power
then
move.
I lay back and
That's
I
it.
see
Now you have control of this
That's
interview.
right. I am now in the catbird seat.
Well, I don't appreciate that.
Yeah.
Paul.
Yes, sir.
You're a man of many talents. Director.
Yes, some would say.
Producer. Actor.
Occasionally.
Creator of beloved television shows and other things.
Exactly.
Author.
Yes.
That's true,
some
right?
would say.
Yeah.
I know my publisher would agree.
But to me, the most interesting thing about when I was reading about you, and I did several weeks of reading before.
I'm sorry.
The most interesting thing is that you were on. You acted in the first season of Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
I certainly did.
Can you tell me about your character?
I was the biology teacher, Mr. Poole, and they asked me, what would you like your first name to be? And because I'm a comedy genius, I said Gene. So I was Dr. Gene Poole.
They actually went for that.
They went for it, see?
What year was this?
This was 1997.
So tell me about that experience. I mean, first off, was this a dream of yours? Had you been thinking,
yes,
I want to get on the Sabrina the Teenage... Now, Sabrina the Teenage Witch was originally a film, right?
No, it was a comic strip.
Oh, it was a comic
Or a
strip.
comic book, I should say.
Okay.
A graphic novel, as the kids call it these days.
I don't think it was...
I
don't think they ever had a graphic...
Well,
graphic novel it would be a compilation, perhaps, or a storyline.
That's right. It was a graphite novel.
But you...
And that's the kind of jokes that you get from Mr. Poole. See The Heat.
But how did that happen? And can you tell me a little bit about your experience being in a... it was kind of a children's show.
It was
kind of a children's show.
It was
right?
not kind of a children's show. It was a.
Yeah.
No, it's I was an actor. I've been a regular in like 4 other TV series that all got canceled in their first season. Dirty Dancing, the TV series.
No, that didn't exist.
It did.
You were in it?
Yes.
You played the Swayze character?
Yes, of course I did. I played Baby. Actually.
Wow.
No, I was. You're not old enough to remember this,
how do you know how
there
old
used
I
to.
am?
Well, I don't know
anything
because you're a
about me.
youthful-looking man.
Thank you. That's totally uncalled for.
You are.
I appreciate that.
But no, there used to be like when they would make like the Partridge Family cartoon and the Brady Bunch cartoon, and they'd always add like a dancing panda or like a singing bird, and that was me on the show because I was a character that was not in the movie.
You were a bird?
Norman. Yes, I was. I should have been a bird. I was Norman, the comedian bellhop.
Did you have to dance in it?
They tried to get me to dance, but I refused.
Was it you refused to dance on the show?
No. There was a scene it was Patrick Swayze. No, not Patrick Swayze. It was Patrick Cassidy.
I thought you were going to say Patrick Stewart.
No, it was Patrick Cassidy played it, and then Melora Hardin, who I actually ended up much years later directing on The Office, because she was Michael's girlfriend for a long time.
Yeah.
But they were doing a sexy dance, and they had a reaction shot of me in the doorway, and the director's like, pretend like you're into that, and you're kind of dancing with them and getting turned on. I was just like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Getting,
exactly.
I like the getting turned on.
Yeah, no, it wasn't not to be like, oh, hello.
You're not just dancing, you're not just into the groove, you're actually sexually aroused.
Well, I'm dancing dirtily.
Right. So tell me, you've done all this stuff. Do you have a preference? Is there one thing that you love more than all of the others?
To do?
In terms of like acting, directing,
I like directing.
Producing. You like directing the best.
I got to push people around.
Can you see yourself just being a director just forever until you die?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, I always write, and I'm very involved in the writing, and some things I actually write myself, and other things I have these amazing writers I work with. Right. But no, I like it. It's as an actor, I was very limited, let's just say. I only had so many skills.
But and the director is really the boss.
Yeah,
and you're in
movie making, definitely.
Right.
You are the main storyteller. In TV, you're sort of the facilitator of the writers who write these great scripts. And you can make it better, but you also, when they say, like, no, I want it this way, then you go, okay, that's fine.
Is there any person, when you're a director, that you can't tell what to do? I mean, besides, like, I assume the producers.
Well, I mean, the studio. Well, no, yeah, I mean, you are, as a movie director, you are occasionally fighting everybody. Mm-hmm. I was lucky on the last two ones I did that everybody was pretty cool. But no, I've fought some Pyrrhic victories in my time.
Yeah. Didn't.
No, you win and you're like, well, nobody hates me. And it wasn't worth it to get him in a red shirt.
So director would be your preference.
Yes.
You'd like to die directing.
Yes, but not anytime soon.
The scene ends and they look back and there's a skeleton hanging on.
Yes.
Sitting at the director's chair.
But I'm run over by a crane, and they go, he would have wanted to go that way. And I never, when I say he would have wanted to go that way, I don't think I would have wanted to go whatever way they think I would have wanted to go.
How would you want to go?
Just quietly in my bed, asleep. Yes, not so? like Dick Shawn. Remember the comedian Dick Shawn?
No.
Oh, I'm so old.
Dick Shawn sounds like a made-up person.
No. It's a mad world.
The beginning of a joke.
Man, exactly. That's right.
You know Dick Shawn?
Yeah, that's right. But he died on stage. He was performing, and he was a funny guy, and he had a one-man show, and so he collapsed on stage, and people were laughing for like 2 minutes.
Red Fox. This happened with Red Fox.
Oh, did it really?
I think he had because his thing was I'm going.
Oh,
he used to do his heart attack. It's the big one.
Oh, I didn't know.
And then I think he actually. This could be an urban legend. I might be propagating an urban legend.
Did he die eating Pop Rocks?
No, he had Pop Rocks and a soda, and then people thought he was doing his bit.
Right, and then he died in Vietnam. That's right.
You created the show Freaks and Geeks, wildly popular. Now,
exactly.
Let me finish.
Okay.
Wildly popular now, not popular in its time. Mm-hmm. TV has really changed though since Freaks and Geeks was on the air, and obviously people love it. I mean, I think a lot of people consider it to be one of the best shows ever put on television.
Well, it's nice. I mean,
no, it's a fact.
Okay. I'll take it.
Accept it. Do you think it would have? Do you think that show would have had a different story in this day and age, if NBC had that show today?
I do think it would have, because now the business model is kind of, if you get an entire season, then you know people will binge watch it when they might not necessarily watch it the first season. So I think we were so critically acclaimed, I bet we would have at least got another half season to
they would have given
the
it
DVDs kind of
a chance.
Exactly.
But you have done a lot of TV. You've done a lot of directing on TV, besides your very deep acting career, which goes back several hundred shows.
It certainly does.
Several hundred failed, weird shows. But you've directed a ton of television.
Yeah.
You did an episode of 30 Rock. More than one?
Yeah. No, just one 30 Rock.
What happened there? They didn't want you back, huh?
Alec Baldwin's a delightful man. Yes, exactly. No, it was fun, actually.
Is he hard on you?
He's fine.
Did he leave nasty?
He's fine. I believe the quote was, "You got to knock it off with this true faux shit, man."
Really?
Yeah.
Did he say that?
He said it, but he was.
So
joking.
you have a real
beef.
You have a real beef with Alec.
He might have been. No, I certainly do not.
This is real.
No, I certainly do not. I love the man. I think
he will take action on a beef.
Trust me, I know.
I don't know what that. I'm sure that means.
You ever had action taken on your beef? You know, just.
Oh God.
Those jokes. Okay.
So, do you have interest in creating new TV shows? I mean, you've. Seems like there would be some fertile ground there.
Oh yeah.
And now that people agree that your
doing new ones,
Freaks and Geeks was excellent.
I mean, TV isn't the greatest place that it's ever been, I think. Right. I think we were honestly in more of a golden age than it was back when they called it a golden age.
Right.
I mean, just think of all the shows. But it's also because they are open to the serialization of storytelling.
Right. Which I think is a better way to tell a story.
So
I find episodic shows annoying.
Yeah, you know, and they're just not, I don't know, they're not as exciting to work on because you're just like reinventing the wheel every time. You have the same cast and
It's like
same characters.
Monster of the Week.
Yeah,
You know, you
exactly.
have to come up with
Yes,
some problem.
exactly.
Well, that's the X-Files was Monster of the Week.
No, totally.
Which I find very annoying because I just want to see the X-Files story unfold.
Oh, yeah.
Are you working on anything new for television? Would you be interested in doing
We're
something?
developing a few things, yeah.
You are?
Oh,
Can
yeah.
you talk about them here?
No, of course not.
Can you just tell
There,
us?
actually, no, I will say there is
You will,
there is
okay.
one with a sci-fi bend to it. I like sci-fi comedy,
Really?
and I don't feel there's been enough sci-fi comedy.
You're on Twitter.
Yes, I am.
Does that seem like a hard pivot? You're on Twitter.
Man, I thought I'd be.
You're on Twitter.
Yes.
You have 1.3 million followers.
Yes, I do.
First off, how did you get 1.3 million followers? How does that happen?
I got in early. Here, I'll tell you.
Give me a pen.
I will tell you exactly how it happened, but it can't happen again, I'm afraid. Because I came in early on it, and I was working on The Office. Rainn Wilson said, hey, if you're on Twitter, I'll tell my followers. So immediately I had 7,000 followers.
Okay.
But what happens, they put me on this thing where
you
when
were on the
signed
suggested
up-
users list.
Yes. So every day, like every week,
my
I get
God.
5,000 more followers.
You're a reviled person.
I know, exactly.
To a lot of Twitter people.
I have.
The suggested users list was a highly controversial move on the part of Twitter,
and it benefited
which
me.
gave power to people like you, who would probably who are probably abusing it.
Oh no, totally. So I'm in. So y'all.
It's true though. You now have incredible power. You can do pretty much anything you want.
Oh yeah, I can actually.
So, do you see Twitter? I mean, there are people who use Twitter as a comedy platform.
Yeah.
Guys like Rob Delaney, for instance, who's really made a career out of Twitter as a platform for comedy. Do you see it that way? Do you use it that way?
Oh yeah, that's my favorite use for it. I will occasionally self-promote on it, but I don't like to do that. I know guys.
You've been doing a lot of Heat promotion.
I know.
I got a lot of Heat.
And I'm suffering for it because you see the numbers dropping. But at the same time, the studio's like, can you put it out there? But to me, Twitter is being a comedy man yourself. You always have the notebook that you carry around and you write like funny thoughts.
I have an app on my smartphone.
Well, okay. In the old days.
Do you carry a notepad? Do you have something?
Not anymore, no. But
What,
I used to.
You use your phone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but there was many years when I had the pad.
Yeah.
But you'd write stuff in there, and then you'd put it away, and you wouldn't put it anywhere.
Right.
Now you go like, I have a funny thought, you put it out, and if it's funny,
I do. I actually
you'll hear
write.
it.
I do tend to write down. I shouldn't say this because it's a great idea, but I'm going to tell you an idea I wrote down. I'll just say what the idea is. I'm not going to explain it. Jewish Terminator. So that's it. And you could just imagine. You could just figure out. It's not violent.
Okay.
Not violent. I guess I should expand on that a little bit.
Keep
You
going.
know the Terminator has a heads-up display?
Yes.
Where he's evaluating what's going on?
So it interprets it in a more of a Jewish themed
The
way.
Terminator is Jewish.
Yeah.
That's it. Let's move on.
Wow, I want in on this.
Were you when you were in? I mean, obviously, Freaks and Geeks was based. I'm going back to Freaks and Geeks.
Man.
I'm so hot. I have a heat stroke.
Exactly. There's two of you, right?
Let's just wrap this up.
I shit my pants. I'm sorry. I forgot to tell you that.
You too.
Yeah, I know. I knew it. We had that one thing.
So it happens. Well, this is sort of related to the Twitter stuff and sort of the rise of nerd culture.
Yes.
I mean, I think in some ways, Freaks and Geeks is now it now makes more sense because people better understand nerd culture and sort of geek culture, which has really risen to be the dominant force in popular culture.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the movies that are the #1 movies, right? It's Superman and the Avengers and just really Star Trek, just incredibly nerdy stuff.
Yeah.
That even 10 years ago was still sort of breaking through.
No, I mean, I credit the internet for all this stuff. You know, back when I was a kid and, all my geeky friends, you always felt like, are we the only weirdos out there that like this stuff? And you had no community. The minute you have the internet, you have this community that empowers you, like the weirdest stuff you're into. Like, there's a bunch of people that like it.
Suddenly, like, it seems not only not that weird, but kind of popular.
Oh, no, then you're cool because you got this cool
All of
group.
my weird sex stuff.
Has
been.
exactly.
I thought I was the only one.
Who knew you?
Huge gas mask.
Other people.
Huge gas mask
Exactly.
community.
Who like to fuck a couch. So there you go. That's right.
Oh, you're a couch.
My brother, how are you?
Let's find it. Let's get out of here and find a couch.
Give me a baggie and a nice looking couch. I'm all set. There were lonely days.
That is good stuff. But I do want to talk a little bit about, because you do have a film that you're now promoting.
Yes, I do.
I mean, you haven't promoted it, except for a couple of times during this interview.
Yeah, I only said it once. Oh, no, twice. Okay.
But The Heat.
Yes.
Tell me, just give me the outline of The Heat. Tell me what The Heat is about.
The female buddy cop comedy. There you go.
Okay. This movie, though, this has been people have made a big deal about your portrayals of women in movies. It's not a traditional, they're not traditional portrayals in the sense that the female characters are really fully fleshed out, real people.
Yeah.
And frankly, for Hollywood, that's unusual.
I know, that's what's so crazy.
Is it right?
So
Like, that's a weird.
groundbreaking.
People are like, can you believe these characters in Bridesmaids are
they're
smart and funny and
acting like all the women we know in real life?
Right.
Like, how dare they do that?
So what is it? Why did you crack this? Where is the? I mean, what is it about you that gave you this sensitivity and insight into the female condition?
Well, I'm a very feminized man. I will say.
What does that mean?
I grew up around a lot of women. I was an only child, but grew up next to a family of 8 kids, and 6 of them were girls, and they were all my best friends. So I hung out with them all the time. And then I had a lot of bullies in school. So
you were bullied?
I was bullied, of course. Yeah. How could you look at me? But I always would run to the girls and go like, okay,
that's part of the problem.
Let's hang out.
That's the bully. I know. I understand, believe me.
Oh, yes, I know.
But in practice, running to the girls, not totally.
Yeah, but then they were fun, and we'd laugh, and I was in drama club and all the guys. So I just always knew women, and I always kind of liked how funny they were, and I was like kind of making them laugh, and they made me laugh, and it just this feeling. And then I'm watching all these movies that are guy-dominated, and suddenly like the funniest women I know are in it, and they're playing just like a mean girlfriend, and they're not funny. It's like, well, why doesn't she get to be funny?
Did you think this is something I have to crack, or did it just happen because this is the movie that you wanted to make?
It was a little bit something I wanted to crack because Lindsay Weir in Freaks and Geeks is one of my favorite characters I ever created, and so I had other projects that had like female leads, and Hollywood would just go like, no, you can't because people won't go to see. They always had like some reason, and you go okay, and then finally started going like, wait, why is that a reason? It doesn't make sense. They're half the population of the world.
Right. That is a great point. Yeah. There are a lot of women in the world. All right, okay, final question, because we have gone way longer, and I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Thank you, sir.
And more than I expected, to be honest. And you wear suits constantly.
Yes, I do.
You're a very handsomely dressed man.
Thank you, sir.
What tip can you give someone? One tip.
One tip.
If they want to be a great-looking guy every day of the week.
Yes.
What's your advice?
It's not about how expensive the suit is, it's about how good the tailor is. So you can buy a cheap suit, go to some guy, spend a little bit of money to get tailored, because I don't want to dress up because it's too expensive. Not an excuse. You can go to a thrift store and you can buy a suit and just get somebody to tailor it nicely for you, and then you will look like $1 million.
That is an incredible piece of advice.
Thank you so much.
Paul, thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And that is our show. I want to thank Paul, Lance Reddick for joining us, and you for watching this. I mean, you didn't have to. You chose to, and that's wonderful. We'll be back with more on The Verge soon, and until then, there is no until then.